It's no secret the Jets could use a veteran voice in the offensive coaching staff. We're going to talk about 5 options that would fit that bill. Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary, back with another video, and today I wanted to talk about 5 offensive coaches that are veterans that the Jets could add to their staff. Before we get started today, I just wanted to mention that you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. Also, if you haven't already, please make sure to check out the Just Jets podcast. Okay, so some of these guys, actually all of these guys, are veteran offensive minds, guys who's been in the league for a while with a ton of different experiences. And the first guy on the list probably is only for offensive coordinator. The other ones on the list are more adds to the staff as a quarterback coach or just a veteran offensive assistant in some capacity. So I made it clear that I don't necessarily think that I would fire Mike LaFleur after this year. I could see him being scapegoated, and if that's the case, the first guy on my list is who I would get on the phone with to be the OC, and that is Frank Reich. He is someone who I think has done a really good job pretty much everywhere he's went. I know things kind of soured in Indianapolis, but a little bit of a toxic situation and Matt Ryan, and it just kind of went off the rails there. So he was most recently Indianapolis's head coach from 2008 to 2012. He was the Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator in 2016 and 17, San Diego Chargers offensive coordinator in 2014 and 2015. And he's had, a pretty nice amount of success in all of those spots. He's worked with Carson Wentz, Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers. He was top 10 in yards 4 times, top 10 in points 4 times as well. And I just look at what he dealt. We'll start with, we'll work our way backwards, I guess. What I liked that I saw from him with the Indianapolis Colts is that up until pretty much this year, it didn't seem to matter who was at the quarterback position. They were still getting by and were competitive, at least. Were they amazing offenses? Not all the time, but look at the quarterback play that they got. Matt Ryan this year, just bad situation. Throw that one out the window. Last year with Carson Wentz, he imploded in the last week of the year, but for the most part, had him in check. He was okay with the Colts after really going off the rails after he left with the Eagles. More on that in a second there. Jacoby Brissett wasn't that great, but he had success with Phillip Rivers with the Colts. Obviously, they were pretty good that year. And Andrew Luck was having an amazing season before he retired abruptly in 2019, which was the Jacoby Brissett year, where the offense really tumbled. But they're going into the year expecting it to be Luck under center. They built the roster around Andrew Luck. And on the eve of the season, Andrew Luck retires, and we know the story the rest of the way. But with Carson Wentz, that's the interesting one. And I know his career hasn't really worked out, and he's bounced around and all that different stuff. The Eagles decided to move on, but the jump that Carson made from 2016 to 2017 was there. He was playing like an MVP candidate in 2017. Reich leaves, and Carson's regression begins really in, I think, 2019 into 2020 was things really started to get rough there. And in San Diego, look, Rivers sure was a veteran at that point, but that was still a team that had a really good offense. He's worked with a ton of different quarterbacks, a variety of different quarterbacks, and has had success and brings that head coaching experience too. This is a young, inexperienced staff for the most part at head coach, OC, DC. If they move on from OC, that would bring in a guy who's had coaching experience for a while and has been, in the league for a long time and has had success as a coordinator and some success as a head coach. So I think if you are to make a change at offensive coordinator, this is one that I would be okay with. And I don't think he comes here just to be a quarterback's coach or an offensive, just a blanket offensive assistant. I don't think that's very likely. I think he's going to get a coordinator's job. So this is really only an option if you pull the plug. Now, the remaining 4 guys on this list aren't necessarily replacements for LaFleur, but I think they are good options to add as a veteran to help whatever is the quarterback room next year for the Jets. And the first guy in that list, or that tier, I'm going to go with Dirk Koetter. Now, he is currently Boise State's interim offensive coordinator. But he's had a long career in the NFL. He was the Jacksonville Jaguars offensive coordinator from 2007 to 2011, Falcons OC in 2012 through 2014, the Bucs OC in 2015, and then the Buccaneers head coach from 2016 to 18 before returning to Atlanta to be the offensive coordinator in 2019 and 2020. He's worked with David Garrard and had a lot of success with David Garrard in 2007. The Jaguars made the playoffs that year. He worked with Matt Ryan and had success with him, a couple of different times, whether it be in 2012 and 14, and then again in 2019, maybe not as much as 2020, but it kind of is what it was at that point. And Jameis Winston, Jameis sure was a turnover machine, and I guess you could say he didn't really develop him, but I think they got a ton out of that offense. That offense scored a lot when he was there as both the OC and the head coach. He was top 10 in yards 7 times, top 10 in points 2 times. He was top 16 in points 6 times. I think this is a guy who has that experience. One, again, the experience as a head coach. He's been a coordinator a bunch and has worked with a variety of different quarterbacks. So if you're looking for a vet offensive mind that you could add to your staff here, that is someone who I think jumps out. Another one in that kind of similar position is Ken Whisenhunt. Former head coach, former offensive coordinator. He's currently serving as Penn State offensive analyst. As I mentioned, head coach with the Cardinals from 2007 to 2012. He was the head coach of the team that went to the Super Bowl. He was the head coach of the Titans in 2014-15. Didn't really work out there, but offensive coordinator for the Steelers from 04 to 06. Chargers in 2013, and then again from 2016 to 2019. So he's worked with guys like Big Ben early in Big Ben's career and helped him along the way get a little bit better. Phillip Rivers, Kurt Warner, rookie Marcus Mariota, Marcus Mariota is another one who didn't really pan out, but I thought he was okay early on in his career. Top 12 in yards 7 times, top 12 in points 9 times. Another guy with head coaching experience, has worked with a variety of different teams and a variety of different quarterbacks. Are any of these guys perfect in saying, oh my God, yes, this is 1000% the fix? I don't know if that's necessarily fair, but again, the Jets are kind of looking for, or at least in my opinion, should be looking for a veteran offensive mind. He fits the bill. He's had success in a few different spots. I think that would make sense. This next guy really isn't my favorite option on this list, but he was included because he's been a quarterback's coach for a long time in the NFL, and that's Bill Lazor. He was most recently the offensive coordinator for the Bears in 2020 and 2021. He was the Bengals OC in 17 and 18, and he was the Dolphins OC in 2014 and 2015. As a quarterback coach, he was with Washington in 06-07, the Eagles in 2013, the Bengals in 2016 before he took over as the offensive coordinator for a couple of years, and had varying degrees of success, more as a quarterback coach than as an offensive coordinator. In 2013, as a quarterback coach with the Eagles, that was Nick Foles, the first run with Nick Foles when he had that random really good year in 2013 when Chip Kelly was the coach. And then in 2016, Andy Dalton had a Pro Bowl season through 4,200 yards, one of his better seasons. Again, is he a star? Do I want him to replace LaFleur as an offensive coordinator? Not really, because I don't think he's done a great job as an OC, but can he work with the quarterbacks and improve that room? I think so. And that's, again, a veteran that fits the bill. And is interesting and potentially an upgrade to what they currently have, especially at quarterback coach and Rob Calabrese. The last guy on my list, he's old and he might not want to do it, but I think is someone who would make some sense here, and that's Mark Trestman. I know that a sour taste in your mouth from him with how things ended in Chicago, but he had a lot of success in his NFL career and wore a ton of different hats in his NFL career. He's the offensive coordinator for the 89 Browns, the 95 and 96 49ers. He was the Cardinals OC from 98 to 2000, the Raiders OC in 2002 and 2003, and 2015-16 Ravens offensive coordinator. As I mentioned, he was the Bears head coach in 2013-14. He was also a quarterback coach a ton in his career, both at the collegiate level and also as in the NFL. He was at the University of Miami, the Tampa Bay Bucks, Vikings, 49ers, Lions, Raiders, NC State. He's done it a lot through multiple decades. A well-respected guy. He was top 12 in yards 4 times, top 12 in points 4 times. So Is he, again, is it an elite level coach where like, oh my God, yes, I can't believe they got him? No, not necessarily. But again, varying degrees of success. He helped Rich Gannon to the 2002 MVP. He worked with Steve Young, Jake Plummer. He had Cutler and McCown running a top two offense. The 2013 Chicago Bears were a top offense in the league. They stunk defensively, and they were 8-8 because their defense was absolutely abysmal. But that offense put up a ton of points and a ton of yards in 2013. And then he worked with Joe Flacco in 2015-16. And at that point, Flacco was still fine. Was he 2012 version of Joe? No, but he was a serviceable quarterback. So, and also, too, what I like with Trestman is the variance of different quarterbacks. Steve Young and Joe Flacco could not be more opposite kinds of quarterbacks. And he's worked with both and had success with both. Cutler, he's worked with more of a gunslinger type. Plummer, also a gunslinger, had 1 million interceptions, so maybe that's not a great thing. But I think if he wants the job, I think he would be a solid option for a quarterback coach. So those are my 5 options that I just wanted to give you. If you want to put in any other options for OC, an offensive assistant, a quarterback's coach, whatever, drop them down below or on social media. Please make sure to subscribe if you're new. I am Matt O'Leary. I will talk to you next time.